Hi everyone, good evening. So this is a reminder that this session will be recorded, as well as if you have any questions or comments, feel free to write in the chat, right? Thank you.
Hi everyone. Okay, great. It's being recorded. Good evening, everyone. It's so great to see so many people here today. My name is Maya Nanan, and I'm one of the hosts for today's session. I'm the president of the Siblings and Friends Network, in which you'll get to know more information about shortly from Celine. Some of you may also remember my name from the emails that were sent to you. We have a lot to cover today, along with so many interactive activities. So I do look forward to your active participation. Now remember, don't all rush to unmute your mics at once when these activities are taking place. So now I'd like to pass you all on to my co-host, Celine.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Maya said, it's nice to see all of you here. So I will be telling you all a little bit about Support Autism TNT. So this NGO was founded on April 2nd, 2014 by Dr. Radhika Mahes, as she realized that there's a limited resources and a lack of access due to the expensive cost for those persons with autism. The purpose of the NGO is to raise funds to help others access therapy and education, to raise awareness and inclusion as a pressure group that facilitates recognition of autism. At Support Autism TNT, we have the Youth Arm, which is a siblings and friends network where we have over 250 registered and trained volunteers, as well as our UTT Teachers for Autism network. Our volunteers are the ones that you meet and interact with at the outreach booths that we have throughout the country, as well as we plan, execute, and collaborate on projects. And we would be the persons that you would see interacting with the children doing fun day stuff like the painting character suits, and we organize craft tables. Maya?
So I'd like to introduce you all to Danelle. She'll be conducting an activity with you all. Danelle Singh is an executive member of Support Autism TNT. She's a past student of Naparima Girls High School and has been a practicing attorney at law for the past 5 years, advocating for children's rights. She heads the NGO's legal team. She's an advocate for children, mental health, autism, and other disabilities, and she has been actively involved in creating a better Trinidad and Tobago since she was in secondary school. While she's here to talk about mental health today, her passion is healthy, balanced living, and she inspires that through her business of the Healthy Den, which you can find on Instagram for healthy food inspiration. Let's welcome Danelle.
Good afternoon, everybody. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I know it's been a tough one for a lot of us with the lockdown, the states of emergency that we're in right now. I know this is a serious topic we're about to embark on this afternoon. So I just want to start on a light note today and a little icebreaker. And Maya and Selena are going to help me conduct this one. Just in the chat, you could describe yourself in one word today. So we're going to start today with a little bit of self-love. It's something I've personally been lacking in my life for a while. Not what people would say about you, but rather what you would say about yourself. So you could just blow up the chat right there and start telling us some words, just one word to describe yourself, how you would describe yourself. One positive thing. I'm seeing loving, friendly, talented, hardworking, empathic, humble, committed, caring, understanding. I think I'm missing some. Helpful, approachable, generous, understanding, sincere, seeing friendly again. Maya, Celine, you want to help me out and just tell me yours? Not any chat, but just here. Help everybody else feel uncomfortable. Come on, guys. I'm supposed to be seeing like 30 plus. Helpful again. Maya, what word would you use to describe yourself?
I think I'm gonna fit in with the friendly crowd today.
Friendly crowd.
Yeah.
Celine?
I would say understanding and funny.
Dr. Mahes.
Understanding, kind, helpful.
Seeing compassionate. Lovely. Okay, so you all got a lot of self-love in there. Love it. Here to see it, here for it. Another activity we're going to start off with, it is gratitude. Now, one of the coping mechanisms used by professionals is for you to remember gratitude in your life. No matter how small you think it may be, it is important that you remain grateful for the things that you have in your life. So Maya is going to throw up a picture for us now. And what she's gonna, Maya, you're gonna show them how to insert it as well. Great. So no matter how small you think it is, just think about something that you're very grateful for in your life right now. At this present moment in time. And I just want you to reflect on it and write it down. So I'll go first. Oh, Maya, you want to explain? Sorry.
So the idea of this is, I'm sure everyone's seen the annotate button to the top of your screen. So you click on the annotate button, and then on that it gives you options. I'm not sure if you're seeing it on my screen, but you're seeing mouse, select, text, draw, stamp, etc. So you're going to click on the text box and it's going to allow you to type something. So one thing that you're grateful today could be, well, my example would be food. So now I'm going to type in food in the chat, and it's going to allow you to put the food on the template itself. Did everyone understand, or Celine, you want to give it a try?
Yeah, you seen where with family?
Can you give the instructions again?
So on the top, you're going to see annotate. Next to pause and share. Are you seeing that? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yeah, so you click on annotate, and on annotate, you see text. You see in text is the third one. So there's mouse, select, and text.
What you
Everybody
do as well if you're not getting through is always type it in the chat.
in the chat. Yeah.
Further. Okay, so I'm seeing friends, I'm seeing family. I'm seeing a lot of friends. Grandparents, wealth. Life. Something to be grateful for right now. Not having COVID.
Exactly, not having COVID.
Not having COVID. That's amazing. Good health. So even if you didn't want to put any chats, strength, it's a good one. I'm not sure if you're talking about emotional strength here or physical strength. I'm gonna go with both. Even if you didn't get the opportunity to put it in the chat, you could always think about it and reflect on it yourself and figure out for your own self and your own self-love what you have to be grateful for, and hold on to that one thing. Use it as your anchor, because I will be coming back to what anchors are later on in the presentation. Seeing home, seeing food, some good answers. Well, you want to start the presentation one time? You think we're ready?
I think we have more in the chat.
Oh, sorry. Grateful for health, strength, family, home, food.
After arrow, home. A job.
So the reason why we're also writing these things down like this is because you can also find us on social media at Supportism TNT. Well, PT,
Clothes.
right, on Instagram and on Facebook. So this will go up. Close.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much for participating. Now we will move on to our next speaker. So I will be introducing Zian Virgi, and he's an advocate of what he calls the generation of change. He is an altruistic young change maker that has found purpose in creating social impact. He is on a life mission to have an impact on 10 million lives. He has been consistently working on building his legacy, and he does this by sharing, inspiring, and empowering others to fulfill and find their own purpose. He had the honor of having his work featured on major publications around the world. For his contribution towards humanitarian efforts, he has been awarded the Princess Diana Award 2019, WAFF's Global Teen Leader 2019, winner of the Dragons Den for Change at GESF 2019, and the top 5 GSL projects. So I would like to invite Sian to make his contribution.
Thank you so much, Celine, for that amazing introduction. First of all, before I start, I'd like to thank all of you for taking out your time today to come talk all about mental health. I think it's honestly such an important topic. It's something all of us have, and engaging in such conversations and always learning how to take care of our mental health is so important. I do have a presentation, so I'm gonna try sharing my screen. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So today I was invited to talk a little bit about factors that influence mental health. But before I go into that, I'm going to talk about why I personally wanted to be here. And I wanted to give you a little bit of background and context into my own personal life. So mental health is something that I've personally struggled with throughout my life. I come from a background where, unfortunately, mental health is not seen as something very important. It's seen as something that you don't really talk about, and it's something that everyone just has to figure out on themselves. And growing up, when I'm 19 years old, and right now I'm in Canada, but in 4 years ago, I used to live in Kenya, and I went to boarding school there. So after my first year in boarding school, I had a really tough time there. It was my first time away from home. I actually got suspended in my first year. My grades were really low. I was struggling. I had this really toxic group of friends. There was this girl that I liked that didn't like me back. And I was just honestly just having a very tough time. But I didn't realize that something was wrong with me, or that it was taking a toll on my mental health. Um, I was someone that would always make fun of if someone brought up mental health. I would be like, that's something you just laugh away. If someone says like you're not doing well, you're always my immediate response would be like, yeah, I'm okay, like nothing's wrong with me. Unfortunately, again, as I said, in the background I come from, not being okay is something, especially for a guy. It's something that's that isn't okay. Like guys are not allowed to not be well, and they are always meant to be strong mentally, if that makes sense. Um, so after my first year, I remember it was the last day of school. I was so excited to go back home for the summer. And unfortunately, there was a dengue fever outbreak in Mombasa, Kenya. And I got the dengue fever, but I didn't get diagnosed at that time, so I didn't go to the clinic. I did have symptoms, but I decided to travel back with it to Tanzania, where my home is. Um, I traveled with it and then went. We rushed to the hospital as soon as I got there, but unfortunately, it took doctors 1 week to realize that I had dengue fever and I was not okay. So it took them 1 week, and if I waited any longer, my platelet counts had dropped so low that I was actually gonna my organs would have started bleeding if I didn't get any treatment at that point. But fortunately, I was taken to the hospital. I spent a week there admitted. I recovered, but from the point of getting discharged up to the next 3 weeks, I went into a phase where I had no control over myself. So I was acting hypersexual, I was acting hyperactive. And keep in mind, I had no recollection of anything that happened. But I was basically carrying out all these different activities where I had no control over myself. And someone would think I'm either crazy, high, or drunk at the same time. So it was a really bad experience. And 3 weeks later, I wake up on my bed and I check the date on my phone. And the weird part was the last thing I remembered was being in the hospital 3 weeks ago. um Nothing was adding up. And then I called my parents and they rushed home and they started explaining to me that I went through this thing, and nothing really made sense. Nothing made sense to me. I was like, how is it possible that 3 weeks of my life has just disappeared randomly and I don't remember anything about it? Um, and then it took quite a bit of time to reflect on what happened and actually realizing that I went through something. But we went to a psychologist and she explained to me that she diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. And she said that I was so low in my first year of boarding school. And I was going through all these experiences. And then what happened was when I got dengue fever, it triggered this thing in my brain for me to go extremely high for the next 3 weeks uncontrollably. So I was put on medication, and um eventually I did recover, and it's something I've been trying to figure out since the last few years. But mental health is and having bipolar disorder is something I sort of struggle with, and it's something I try and figure out every single day of my life. um and yeah, so the reason why I gave this context is because it was only after that point in time where I got involved with some of the work that Celine described I do. So after that point in time, I decided that I wanted to really take control of my life, and I went into this journey where I started finding my purpose, and I started really figuring out what I want to do and what legacy I want to leave behind. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to start up a project after having a conversation with my mom that she didn't have access to period products. And I went on to have this amazing journey that I'm still on, in which I'm finding my purpose and I'm actually able to fulfill it by supporting thousands of menstruators around the world. But to get back on the topic of mental health, um, again, before I talk about some of the factors that influence each one of our mental health, I want to talk about the fact that mental health is something that each one of us has. And just like our physical health, mental health should be a priority for each one of us. So the same way that we try and maintain our physical health by, let's say, exercising, working out, eating nutritious food, mental health is something that we all need to take care of. And through my presentation, I want to show you guys what are some of the things that we can do to maintain our mental health. But it's also important to note that mental health is not something that that you just figure out and you can just become mentally healthy and your life is good. It's something that's a work in progress. It's something everyone sort of figures out every day. Sometimes you cannot be you cannot have good mental health, but sometimes you can, and it's a journey that you have to come across. So back to my presentation, I wanted to talk a little bit today on what are some of the factors that influence an individual's mental health. So some of these factors include biological factors. So some of them are heredity, so they pass on from generations to generations, from your parents and grandparents. There are personal factors such as your own lifestyle, your self-esteem, and your childhood experiences. Your physical environment has such a huge influence on your mental health. So this includes things like condition of your home and where you're living, or the quality of the neighborhood or the place that you're surrounded by. And then your social environment has an influence on your mental health. So things such as the quality of your relationships with your family, your friends, and your community, all of those things have a huge influence on your mental health. And then lastly, your economic environment. So things like your employment status or living conditions also play a huge factor in your mental health. And I'll go step by step into each one of these factors and how you can personally take care of your mental health. And I'll start off by a very simple factor, which is your own lifestyle. And I feel like that is something that each one of us can sort of work towards, and it's something that we all have something to work towards. So by practicing good lifestyle habits, some of these things include taking time to eat well, so eating nutritious food that's good for your body, having a balanced diet, going to bed in reasonable time, and getting enough sleep. I personally love this one because I make sure that I get my 8 hours of sleep every single day. And honestly, that's been a huge factor for like why I'm saying so. Prioritizing sleep is so important, honestly. Exercising daily, and that doesn't necessarily mean doing intense workouts or going to the gym, but it could be going for a walk or having some sort of physical activity every single day is so important. And then reducing consumption of stimulants, so things such as coffee, tea, soft drinks, energy, chocolate. These are some of the things that really stimulate your body for a certain period of time, and then they just drain your energy, and that is a factor that can influence your mental health. So reducing the consumption of this is a very big thing. And then also reducing or completely cutting out the consumption of things like alcohol, drugs, or cigarettes. Some of these things have a really bad effect on your mental health. So either taking them in control, or completely not having them is something that we should keep in mind. And then, as similar to the activity that we did, practicing gratitude. This one's also a very big one for me. Something I try and do is before I sleep every day, I write down or I think about 3 things that I'm most grateful for today. And it doesn't have to be major, big things in your life. It could be something as simple as um, um, I'm grateful that I got to wake up today. I'm grateful that I got to have a meal today. I'm grateful that I could be interacting with people that are really far away from the world on a Zoom call. And it's such an honor to do that. That's probably going to be one of the things on my grateful list. So if you can sit down every day and just come up with 3 things that you're most grateful for, that really affects your mental health because it changes your mindset and your perspective on life. You're able to look at life from a really positive mindset, and it has a good effect. Um, and then maintaining your social circle is another big thing. So maintaining a good social environment, personally for me, has also been a very big thing because um just going back to the story that I said, in which I got bipolar disorder. That was something that was initially triggered when I was in my really low point. It was because I had this really toxic group of friends. These friends that were honestly fake to me on my face. These people were always trying to bring me down behind my back. These people were people that would always talk negatively and never had a positive outlook on life. And the people that you surround yourself with, you may not realize it in the moment, but when you look back, they have such a big influence on you. From the conversations that you have, from the things that you talk about, from the way, from the things that you, the activities that you guys do together, that can really affect you. So it's so important to find, let's say, friends or family or people in your community that you can surround yourself with that will really allow you to have a positive outlook on life, and people that always have your best interests, and people that will have your back no matter what. So yeah, so maintain positive relationships with all the people around you. Make sure you engage in leisure activities that you actually enjoy, and find time to indulge in them. So make sure you actually do things that make you happy rather than just doing them for the sake of it. um and personally for me, and like, avoid staying alone, especially during times of, let's say, disappointment or when things don't go your way. And lastly, find someone that you can talk to when you're going through some of these things. I think it's so important to find that person. When I was talking to the psychologist and she gave me this diagnosis, she told me that something I should have done if I had someone to talk to, be it my friends or be it my family or be it even someone in a professional capacity. If you have someone to talk to, it really helps in maintaining your mental health. And that's something that we should all, I'd say, definitely do. And then reducing your stress level, that's something that's really hard to control. But things like physical activity, taking deep breaths, going for a walk, um, really focusing on self-confidence and self-care, um, having, again, surrounding yourself with the right people and engaging in activities that make you happy are really good ways to reduce your stress level and take up your mental health. And then lastly, maintaining a positive work environment. So be it if you're in school, be it if you work, it's so important to set boundaries for yourself. Keep in mind what you can do and what you can't do, and don't push yourself to an extent that has a toll on your mental health. Because your health, they say health is wealth, and honestly, I think your mental health should be such a big priority. So always set boundaries for yourself. Where set your work environment in a clean place that in which you feel you're really motivated, and then make sure you set goals and clear expectations for yourself. Know what you can do, what you can't do. And once you have a goal, it's really easy to have an environment that allows you to be motivated to reach those goals. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. But once again, I want to thank all of you for coming today, and thank you to the organizers. I'm super excited to stay on this conversation and learn more. As I said, mental health is a journey, and it's something that everyone is trying to figure out, including me. And I hope I was able to add some value by sharing my story and sharing some of these tips as we celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you all.
Thank you, Zian, for sharing your story with us. It was truly inspirational, and thank you for speaking on the factors that influence mental health and the importance for maintaining our mental health. So now I'd like to introduce you all to our next speaker, and I have had the esteemed opportunity to interact with her on multiple occasions. Dr. Radhika Mahes is one of the most inspiring, selfless, and dedicated persons that I have ever met. She's a mentor to the youth volunteers at Support Autism TNT. She has a vision to create a better world by influencing younger persons to volunteer and to become advocates. Dr. Radhika Mahes is a historian by profession. She currently is a senior lecturer in history at the College of Science, Technology, and Applied Arts of Trinidad and Tobago. She's the founder of Support Autism TNT, as well as one of the directors. And she's also a proud aunt of a nephew with autism. Dr. Mahes?
Thank you so much, Celine. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining Support Autism TNT as we talk mental health today. As Danelle said, May is Mental Health Awareness Day, Awareness Month, and we wanted to Just 1 second. Slight technical difficulties. Why is my slide not starting? Okay, here we go. Start from the beginning. Right, so you all can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Right, here we go. So I'm just going to minimize it. And as Danelle said, May is mental health awareness month, and we wanted to, have a conversation on mental health because it's something that seems to be now starting to take prevalence in our society. It was something 10 years ago, people weren't talking about mental health. There were so many issues around it. There was a stigma of saying that you have issues mentally and that you're trying to cope with things in society and things in your everyday life. So we are very, very happy to have all of you here today. I want to thank Celine and Maya for their kind introductions. Thank you to Danelle for starting us off. And thank you very much, Zian, for that wonderful presentation. So my topic today is myths about mental health. I'm going to get rid of this. And basically what we do is we have all this idea of what mental health is. We're afraid to talk about mental health. We're afraid to mention to a friend that, maybe we are having a hard time coping. Maybe we not feeling too good today. And that's because there's a stigma associated with mental illness. And that stigma is called Sanism. So in the same way you have racism and you have sexism and all those other things that we talk about, you have Sanism. And Sanism is based on misconceptions and false beliefs. So when we're talking about mental health, we want to understand some certain things, and I want to present it to you in a way that it could be directly related to you. Okay, so I broke it down into a very simplified manner. And the first one is the idea that mental health means that a person is crazy. So if you don't feel well mentally, then something is wrong with you. Then you are going crazy. And it's okay to not feel okay. You're not losing it. You are not going crazy. You are not exaggerating a situation. You are not being a drama queen. Okay, so that is the first myth. It is okay to not feel okay. You are not crazy if you have mental health issues or if you're not feeling to the best that you would normally be. The second one is that mental health is a sign of weakness. This is so far from the truth as is possible. Anyone can go through a rough time. Anyone can have a hard time dealing with a situation. Anyone cannot feel okay. Being strong or being a weak person have nothing to do with how you feel mentally. And in fact, we have this idea that only weak persons have issues and can't cope, and that is not correct at all. So having a mental health problem is a sign of weakness, definitely a myth. The third one is that if you don't feel okay now mentally, then you're going to be like that for the rest of your life. That mental health is a permanent thing. That is not true. If you don't feel okay now, it doesn't mean that you are not going to feel okay tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now. Everyone deals with mental health issues directly and differently. And some may take longer to work through it, others won't. It is not a life sentence. Okay, so your experience will be different from your friends' experiences. So it is not a permanent thing. We tend to say that this too shall pass. Somebody might have to deal with it at a longer time in a different manner, but it does not mean that going through different types of mental health issues right now means that that is a permanent thing. The fourth one is that it is uncommon to experience mental health issues. So therefore, if you are experiencing some mental health issues, something is wrong with you. Again, very incorrect. You would be surprised to know that in 2001, the World Health Organization estimated that 1 in 4 people in the world will be affected by mental or neurological disorders at some point in their lives. And currently, 450 million people are experiencing such conditions. And mental health are among the most leading causes of ill health and disability worldwide. In fact, one of the most common is depression. And 3 years ago in 2017, 264 million people around the world experienced depression. And in fact, in recent times, since last year, with COVID-19, we have seen an increase in the rise of cases of depression, and more people are seeking counseling services. Okay, so the idea that mental health issues is not a common thing, that is another myth. The fifth one, that it is okay to let someone know that you are not feeling okay. The idea that you shouldn't seek help, that is something that you should keep to yourself, definitely a myth. It is okay to talk to a friend. It is okay to talk to your parents. And in fact, Zian just mentioned this in his presentation. It is okay to seek professional help if you think you need it. Dealing with things like depression and anxiety and so on can be very scary, and it could be difficult for you to deal with on your own. But if you have someone you trust, someone who is close to you, and someone who is there for you, sharing how you feel is one step towards dealing with it in a positive manner. So don't let anyone make you feel that it is wrong to seek help. That is a myth. And the fifth one, mental health is a big people thing. We think that children don't suffer from mental health issues, and that is so wrong. Every and anyone can go through difficult times and struggle mentally. Do you know that half of all mental health disorders show first signs before a person turns 14 years old? And 3/4 of mental health disorders begin before age 24. Things like depression, anxiety, more severe mental health issues, they don't discriminate on the basis of age and gender and sex and ethnicity and religion and age. Okay, so it is wrong to believe that mental health is a big people thing. Children, young adults, teenagers all suffer from mental health issues. Okay, so thank you very much. I am now going to pass you back to Danelle.
I think our presentation needs to go back to the beginning.
Okay, let me just stop share for 1 second. And I am going to pull it up back, okay? Right, so here we go from the beginning. Sorry, share screen. Okay, you seeing it now?
Yeah, good, sister.
Right, here we go. Beginning.
Okay, so what do you think is mental health? Anybody? I can just randomly calling somebody from the chats, from our participants. I'm seeing a lot of new persons here today, some old, some new. Anybody want to take a jab at this and tell me what you think mental health is? I think you all have gotten enough information to assist me. I do have a tendency to pick on people as well. I do see some names that I know.
They could just raise their hand. Can
Why
you
don't you raise
see?
your hand and tell me?
Excuse me, but my camera isn't working very well at the moment.
Mine?
No, mine.
Oh, that's okay, Navin.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to still have you here.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Okay.
Right, I think does the mental health have to do with the way you think and behave?
Okay. I like that answer. Thanks, Navin.
You're welcome.
So we could actually go on to the next slide where I could actually touch on what mental health is. So the word mental health is often associated with a mental disorder. Generally, in society, when you hear mental health, you're automatically thinking depression, anxiety, bipolar, something like that. But it affects everyone's daily living, relationships, and their physical health as well. So essentially what mental health is, it's a person's condition with regards to their psychological and emotional well-being. Next slide. Why is it important? Now, we've heard from Dr. Mahez, we've heard from Zian as to why mental health is important. And it affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act, which leads to consequences which can affect our life. It also determines how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and how we make choices in our everyday lives. And a good point to note is to avoid making criminal decisions based on temporary emotions. Now, when we're having a hard time sometimes, and we have a bout of depression, but we're not clinically diagnosed with depression, and I'm talking about if we're just feeling sad for one day, and we start making some decisions on that, we need to be careful that we don't make permanent ones that we're going to regret later on. So this is why it's important to be in tune with your own mental health and to understand what it is. This also goes for if you're feeling angry as well. And an important point to note is that this affects every stage of our life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood. Mental health starts from the beginning and it goes straight into adulthood. So we're breaking that stigma that society will tell us and that some adults will tell us, oh, young people don't know what stress is, young people don't know what mental health is, what you're talking about. So we can talk about breaking those stigmas a little bit. Can you get the next slide, please? So, like I said, it affects us in all different forms, and they're clinically diagnosed disorders as well. There is bipolar, depression, PTSD, anxiety, social anxiety, personality disorder, psychotic disorders. These are all different forms of mental health disorders, but there's also the mental health issue that we have to face, what you and I will face probably, of just feeling depressed for a little bit of time. We're not clinically diagnosed, but we're depressed for a prolonged period of time, for like a week, we'll get over it, we're anxious about something. So we need to know how to deal with that. You go to the next slide as well. So mental health is a cycle. It starts with a thought. You always have this thought, your overthinking might kick in, some different type of thought might come to mind, and that would affect how you feel. No matter what, every thought you have affects how you feel. And as much as you want to control it, it is going to have an effect on your behavior. And when that, in turn, when you have that effect on your behavior, it is going to lead to some consequences. So, for instance, you have some overthinkers out there, you overthink about the situation that's very unlikely to occur in life. It's going to lead to you feeling anxious about the situation, and you might go into your head, you might become stressed out. This is going to impact your behaviors where you're easily triggered by what other individuals might say to you. Persons who don't know you're struggling with this issue at the time, you might just trip off on them, you might get angry, and that has a consequence where people might start to feel, okay, what is your problem? Why are you so angry all the time? So think of mental health as the cycle that we need to, I don't want to say control, but be aware of. We can get the next slide. So this mental health myths that Dr. Mehes would have just gone through. And there is one that I want to talk on as well. I think it's a couple slides down. So understanding the issue, if we could just go back to that slide. Zian would have touched on the warning signs, how to look for what to also do, the good tips for mental health as well. Some of the warning signs you could probably look for, if a person becomes withdrawn, if they're depressed all the time, if they're always anxious. I always tell people, reach out, talk to somebody. You need to look for the change in personalities and behaviors as well. If you're living with the person and you notice this change, prolonged change of behaviors, you can look for that as well. If the person is talking about dying, if the person is talking about suicide, that's a very, very important thing to note as well. So how can we assist? How are we going to deal with the issue that is mental health surrounding Trinidad and Tobago and the world on the whole? What are we going to do? Are we going to talk and listen? We're going to check up on our friends. We're going to seek professional help. We're going to avoid comparisons. So let's start the conversation. And that's what we're doing here today. We're starting the conversation today. So mental health and the stigma. A polite word, I think, is used for discrimination. So mental health and discrimination, let's call it what it is. Why is this attached to mental health? Why do we define persons by their mental health issues? Why do we think it's wrong to feel? Zian said that boys aren't allowed to say you're not okay. So to the guys in the group who are here today, I hope that is not how you feel. I understand if that is how you might have grown up, what society may have dawned upon you, but start the conversation. It is okay for you all to feel. Break that stigma, break that discrimination. We can go to the next slide as well. So start small. Make it normal to say, I am just not okay today. The same way you will say, I have a headache. The same way you can say, I'm trying to get by. If you have a friend, reach out to that friend. Say, I am not doing okay today. I need my friend. I need to talk. I woke up with anxiety today. Start small. Make it normal. The same way you can message them and ask them, hey, I'm feeling to go watch a movie. We're talking post-COVID and pre-COVID. Make it normal to say, I am just not okay today. Educate. Don't give up on people just because you think they're set in their ways. Have the conversations with the older generation. Educate persons. Inform them. They need the information. We are the generation that has that information. Speak to them. Let them know what it is. A small difference is a difference. I have conversations with my dad all the time on mental health. It could go from, and I've been having it for years. And a part of me feels like he still does not get it, but I don't give up on it. I'm not saying consistently do it every single day, every minute of every single day. It doesn't work like that. Educate over time. That small difference. He is more amenable to having the conversation now as he was a year ago. So don't give up. Advocate for it. Talk about it in regular conversations. Bring it up with your friends. Share it in media. Not only when something happens, not only when somebody commits suicide and it's affecting home, that you speak about mental health. Speak about it on the whole every single day. Make it part of your regular conversation. Make it instead of sending a meme to a friend one day, probably send a quote on what mental health is and what educate people. You can do it that way as well. Talk about it with your friends. By the same way you can say you're going to the dentist. If you are having an issue with your life and you need to go to therapy, then tell people, yeah, I'm going to therapy today. Make it normal because it is normal. It's part of our everyday life. I don't know why society has attached what it has to mental health, but we are the generation, we are the people that are going to break that stigma, break that discrimination as well. As the Prince Harry quote that we had in the beginning that said, once you start to realize that you aren't alone and it's more normal than you think, you will realize how many people actually do suffer with some sort of mental health issues, or if they're having a downtime, make it normal. We can go to the next slide on that. So my biggest thing is that it is okay. That's my slogan today. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to feel. Boys, it is okay to cry. It is okay to have feelings. Girls, this goes for you as well. But I know there's this stigma attached to boys not being able to talk about their emotions, not being able to talk about their feelings, but it is okay. Y'all can break that. It's okay to be sad. It is okay to be hurt. It's okay to be angry. I have friends who tell me, yeah, I don't want to feel hurt, so I'm just not going to feel anything. But guess what? Underlying everything else, you are feeling it. And it is okay to feel it. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to not be there for people all the time. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to be selfish as well. It's okay to have problems. Everybody has problems. It's okay to show emotions. So know that in yourself and repeat this to yourself. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to be hurt. Say these things to yourself. Whichever one of these you struggle with and you think it's not okay, know that it is okay. It is also okay to ask for help. Seek help if you need it. Whether that's peer help in confining with your friends, whether it's professional help if you absolutely believe that you need professional help. If you're unsure about it, consult a professional. There are many therapists out there. There are psychiatrists, there are psychologists. Reach out to these persons. It is more accessible for you now with technology. You can reach out to them as well. So these numbers up on the screen are the lifeline numbers. And if you or anyone you know have suicidal thoughts, please contact Lifeline. Reach out to somebody. Don't battle with it on your own. You are not alone. I know it sometimes feel like you are dealing with the issue alone, but there are many people out there who might be dealing with something very similar, something worse. I don't mean to make it sound, these situations are relative, but reach out to somebody. So these are the numbers. I just want to leave it up on the screen for a little while. Share it, take a snapshot of it, post it on your social media. These are things that are supposed to be out there and be at the top of our head sometimes. These numbers, if we need to help somebody, we're not supposed to, hey, what's the lifeline number? Or try to Google it. These are numbers that should be easily accessible to everyone. We can go on to the next slide. So how do we take care of our mental hygiene? Now I know Zian would have spoken about a lot of tips on how to take care of your mental health. And your mental hygiene is essentially the practice of trying to maintain mental health through proactive behavior and treatment. So some of the methods for preserving your mental health, I think Dr. Mahiz could touch on some before I do.
Okay. So Danelle, we will come back to this and go to the next presentation.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think Danelle is passing back to Maya.
Everyone, so we'll come back to Danelle and Dr. Mahiz. Our next presenter is Luke Reese. He's a multi-award winning international motivational speaker who has spoken to thousands of people across the world, sharing his story of how to believe in yourself to unlock your potential. After nearly taking his own life in 2012 due to his mental health struggles, Luke discovered the power of sharing his story to help others change their life, as a contagious energy inspires people to believe in themselves to make the most out of their life. Luke wanted to be here with us today, but he couldn't, so he sent a video for us. Celine, can you please play Luke's video?
One minute, a little technical difficulty.
Celine, do you want me to go on and do my section and we come back to the video in the meantime?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, so I want to pick
I can load it.
Oh, you can? Okay, then go ahead.
You'll just let me know if you're hearing, right?
No, no, we can barely hear.
All about the amazing work that you're doing and the amazing people we have coming along today. So I wanted to record this quick message for you guys because I couldn't be there as much as I wanted to. We couldn't make it work. I just wanted to send my message. You get to hear my thoughts. Hi everyone, my name is Luke Rees and I'm a multi-awarded motivational speaker and founder of Luke Rees Inspires. I'm so sorry I couldn't be at your event today. I've heard amazing things about it. Maya's been telling me all about the amazing work that you're doing and the amazing people we have coming along today. So I wanted to record this quick message for you guys because I couldn't be there as much as I wanted to. We couldn't make it work. I just wanted to send my message. You get to hear my thoughts and you get to hear kind of the reason why I think that Maya is doing such incredible work, but also why I want to share the important messages around mental health with you guys today. Now, myself personally, I've struggled with mental health, anxiety and depression my entire life. It's something that really used to hold me back as a young person. It started to be something that controlled my life and controlled me a lot of times. And I think one thing that we've learned over the last 12 months is that we've all been through something difficult. We've all been through some sort of change, through some sort of difficult experience. That's what makes us human now. We all share that together. And the most important thing is for me, guys, is that if you have been through a difficult time the last 12 months with COVID, the whole coronavirus pandemic we've all been through together, no matter where you are in the world, you've all gotten through it. The fact that you're here today, the fact that you're listening just shows how strong you guys are. So my first tip I want to share today is that next time you face a challenge, next time you're going through a dark patch or a rough moment, I want you to remember how strong you are. I want you to use the last 12 months worth of experiences to turn that strength into your inner strength. I want you to remind yourself how incredible, how amazing you are. Because we've all been through the difficult times these last 12 months. So next time you get through a challenge, I want you to remind yourself, well, if I can get through 2020, if I can get through the COVID-19, I can get through what I'm going through now, use that as your inner strength. Because unfortunately, we're going to go through some challenges. We're going to go through some struggles. Now that doesn't make us unfortunate. That makes us human. We all go through challenges, including me. You know, myself included. I go through bad days. We have bad days. It's okay to have them. It's perfectly fine. Life isn't about learning how to get rid of all the bad days, because the bad days are going to happen. Life is about finding out what works for you, and about learning about the tools that you can add to your well-being toolkit. What things can you do? What tools can you access and can you use when you're having a down day? For me, I love to do things like mindfulness, journaling, keeping active, playing sport, physical activity, and reaching out to friends. They're the big things that help me. So when I'm having a bad day, because let me tell you something, guys, they do happen. We do have bad days. I'm not here to tell you about how not to avoid bad days. I'm here to say that when you do go through a bad day, remember how strong you are, remember your inner strengths, and then do something about it using your well-being toolkit. Do something that puts a smile on your face. Do something for others. Do something that makes you feel better. And that's how we can get better at managing our well-being. But my third and final message that I want to leave with you guys today is that your past doesn't have to mean it's your future. One thing that I had to learn myself personally with my story when I was on the point of ending my own life back in 2013 was that you have the power to say, this is not how my story will end. You have the power to say that I want to write some of the best chapters of my life. So it doesn't matter what chapters you've written previously, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. All that matters is what you do in the future. All that matters is what you do today. So my challenge for you guys, do you still want to write some of the best chapters of your life moving forward? And if the answer is yes, and I hope it is, then I want you guys to listen to what Maya has to say for the rest of this event. And my one challenge to you guys today is do something today that your future self will thank you for. Do that one thing. Don't make massive changes. Do that one thing today that your future self will thank you for. But if you're going to make that one decision, do that one thing, that one decision away from a totally different life, please let it be believe in yourselves, because you guys are amazing. You guys are incredible people. Just coming on this event today and listening just shows how awesome you guys are. So my most important message I want to leave with today, guys, please believe in yourselves. Believe that you can do something. Believe that you can become the best version of yourselves. Thank you so much, Maya, for asking me to record this message for you guys. And I hope you have a fantastic event. And I hopefully look forward to joining you pretty shortly. Thanks, guys, Anna, and take care.
So thank you so much to Lucrease for that video. I know the audio is really bad for some of you and some were hearing it clearly. So what I'll do is I could always send it out on email when we're done. So now I'd like to pass it on to Dr. Mahias.
Okay, thank you, Maya. I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to pick up from where Danelle ended. Okay, so we are going to talk about how to care for your mental hygiene. You know, we have been hearing throughout this afternoon, throughout the session so far, we've been hearing different things. And we want to pinpoint a few of those things that we could use specifically to help us, to really help us to understand how to care for our mental health. So the first one I want to talk about is breathing, using breathing exercises. Now, breathing exercises helps to keep you calm, they keep you grounded. The benefit of it is that they can be done anywhere. You can sit anywhere and you can practice your breathing exercises. You don't need any preparation. You know, it's not like you have to go to the gym and you have to pay gym fees and you have to get exercise wear and all those things. You are right there in your house, you're in your room, you're sitting on your bed, wherever you are, you don't need any preparation. Okay, so a lot of research have shown that 3 to 5 minutes of focused breathing can really help an individual to keep calm, to keep focused, and to center, to keep grounded. And if you make it a regular practice where you just sit and breathe deeply for 3 to 5 minutes every day, once a day, you will see the difference that it can make. So I am going to ask you to take part in a short breathing exercise with me now. Okay, so I want you to sit comfortably wherever you are. Wherever you are, just sit comfortably. And let's follow the instructions in this short video. I just need to.
Stable and Phi.
Let's start breathing with a lot of attention. Let's breathe in and fill our belly like a big balloon. And now let's slowly let the air out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so that was just a very short breathing exercise, and it's a nice guide. It's a nice way to start. It's only a minute and a half. So Another exercise that you can use to help you in dealing with everyday issues is to write it down, journaling. Okay, so write in a journal. So one of the ways to deal with overwhelming emotion is to write down how you feel, to write down what you think. This is one of the healthy ways to express yourself. It is also one of the ways that you can learn to manage your emotions. It can help you define how you are feeling. And the good thing about it is you can write whatever. You can be writing negative things, you can write positive things. Everything that you can think about have an impact on you, you write it down. This journaling will help you to keep track of your priorities. And it, again, research have shown that journaling once a day, every day for the week, or even a couple of times for the week, or even at the time when you are feeling most stressed and most depressed and maybe just not feeling at the top of your game, journaling can actually help you manage your anxiety and reduce your stress and cope with depression. Okay? And when you're writing, when you're journaling, you focus on some basic things. You can focus on these to start off, and as you get accustomed to it and it becomes a regular part of your daily habit, you can expand. But you're writing things like, how do I feel? Why do I feel this way? So if today you are angry, why do I feel angry? How would I rather feel? And what can I do to feel better? And I'm not saying that you have to sit and write any long story or anything. You can just write in point forms. You can just jot down the points that you want to note. Today I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Because something happened. This is what happened. How would I rather feel? I would rather be happy. What can I do to feel happy? These are the things that I need to do to feel happy. Okay? So when you journaling, you just write in those little things that will help you define your emotions. It will help you define your state of mind, and it would help you figure out what you can do to make yourself feel better. And this is another idea of 7 things that you could write in your journal to basically let go of the emotions. What happened? How are you feeling? Who were the people involved? When you felt trigger, what were the results of that? How do you think it should have been solved? Why you find it hard to let go? So if you get into the habit of writing down these things in a journal, of writing, just write anything. You don't even have to save what you write. If you want to write it on a paper and throw it away after, if you type it on your computer and you delete it after, that is fine. Just sitting down and writing how you feel, and keeping that journal will help you to feel better, will help you to really look at the issue and your feelings and what can be done. Okay, so those are just two ideas of things that you can do. And I am going to pass you back to Danelle, who will continue on this. Danelle?
Hi. So Dr. Mahesh would have mentioned something about triggers. So I'm going to touch on that. Understanding your triggers and your anchors. I think the slide needs to... So understanding your triggers and your anchors, what are they? So let's basically discuss triggers. Let's all accept that we all have them. They're different for everyone else. Understand that your trigger will not be the same as someone else's. Get to know your own triggers in your own way. Become more self-aware. Touch base with yourself. Sit down and understand, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? What triggered me? So that you will know in future how to manage those triggers a little bit better. Triggers can also, just a point to note as well, that triggers can be general. People can have general triggers that will last throughout their lifetime. Or you may have a trigger at a specific point in your life, depending on the circumstances that you are facing at the time. So a particular picture might trigger you, a name might trigger you, depending on something that you're going through in your life, or generally what a person might say to you because you are battling with something internally on your own that might trigger you. So be aware of your triggers so you would know how to manage them as well. Which brings me to the point on anchors. So what are anchors? Anchors are something that we hold on to. What do you do what makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? How do you generally relax? Do you go to the gym? Do you call a friend? Do you listen to music? Do you dance? What do you read a book? Do you go outside and just breathe in fresh air? What do you do? So my advice to you is that when you feel triggered, when you recognize, and this is what I mean by being in tune with your own mental health and being self-aware, once you realize you're triggered, you can go to your anchor and hold on to your anchor and use your anchor to help you through that time. So good mental health, and it's a good way to practice your mental health, because your good mental health is your ability to learn, to feel, to express, manage both negative and positive emotions, cope with and manage change and uncertainty, and also self-love. That is what good mental health is about. You need to be able to learn, adapt, feel. Like I said, it's okay to feel the emotions. It's okay to express your emotions. You are supposed to be able to manage both negative and positive emotions. The same way you can manage your emotions when you're happy, when you're absolutely happy, you got the best news ever, and you're in your glee, and you can stay humble and you can live your life. When you're having a negative emotion, you should also be able to equally manage it as well. You also have to have the ability to cope and manage with the change and uncertainty that comes with your life. Because if it's anything we're guaranteed, is that life will always change. And we have seen that from the year 2020 to this year with the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure all of us would have possibly thought we would have been out of it by now, but we're not. And we're into a bigger lockdown than what we were in before. And I know a subtitle of this presentation today was coping with your mental health through COVID. And maybe we provided you with some tips. Maybe we made you more self-aware to some triggers that you may have. And we need to be able to cope and manage with that uncertainty that we have, especially in our times as well. We do have one last social media activity for you all, for those of you who are on social media. What we would like to do is there is this link, this Google Drive link. Maya, I believe you'll have to copy it in chat for people to actually access. You are going to get a template, and what we would like you to do is fill out the template and post it on Instagram. And you could tag Support Autism TNT on it as well.
Celine just shared it on your chat.
And what you're doing with that link is that you're just inserting your name, your age, and your favorite quote. If you're not on Instagram, if you're not on social media, you can still download the template and fill it out. You can also feel free to email us back it, let's compile it, let's share it. You know, I want to hear some of your favorite quotes. And if anybody has any favorite quotes that they would like to talk about off the top of their head, and just tell me, you know, why you chose this quote and what it means to you, you know, feel free. So guys, I know you all might take some time to think about your quotes as oh, I saw that somebody asked if I could repeat the question. So what I was saying is that there's this link in so we're doing a social media activity right now where we have a template. The link is in our chat. that Google Drive link. I just want you all to download the template. And when you see it, you'll see that we're asking for you to just insert your name, your age, and a favorite quote. If I know this may take some time, you all could post on social media, tag Support Autism. And if anybody has a particular quote that they would like to share now for the group and discuss why you chose this quote and what it means to you, I can leave that open to you all as well. If not, it's okay. Take your time. Take your time to think about your favorite quotes and post it. But just make sure to tag us. Make sure to post it. Let's talk about mental health. So I just want to take the time to thank you all for joining us today. I know it's a Saturday afternoon. A lot of people could be doing so many other things, but the fact that you took your time to join us for these 2 hours, well, this hour and more, to talk about mental health, what it means, what it is, raise some awareness, have a conversation, start the conversation. We do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you to Maya and Celine for hosting. Thank you to our guest speakers as well. Celine, Maya, pass back to you.
Hi everyone, so to conclude today's session, I would like to say a big thank you to Dr. Mahis and Danelle for their wonderful and informative presentation and activities on mental health. I'm sure each and every one of us learned something new and took away at least one thing from today's session. I'd also like to express a sincere thank you to Zion for giving us an excellent coverage of the factors that influence mental health and for sharing his story with us. Additionally, I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Luke for sharing his story with us today and taking the time to send us his video. We are all inspired by each and every one of our facilitator great words today. And lastly, thank you to everyone who attended and participated in today's session. We look forward to seeing you at future events.
Hi, everyone. So before we leave, we would like to say thank you again for being here. And would you all mind putting on your cameras so we could take a group picture? It's okay if you don't want to, but we would really appreciate it.
It's so nice to see faces and not names anymore.
It really is. I'm seeing some lovely quotes in our chat. I'm seeing one. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that. Nelson Mandela. That's a good quote. Seeing one from Denzel Washington. I never really had the classic struggle. I had faith. Wow, y'all are inspiring me.
So we're gonna smile for the first picture. So it's 2 screens. So I'll start with the first screen. So everybody in the first screen smile. Wait 1 second. Let me get 2. Oh, I now see Terrell turned on his camera. Everybody smile again. And the second screen. Daniel and Jesse's in the second screen on Jesse. Okay, yeah. Nice. Great. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Keep safe.
I'll send you all an email with the pictures.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Nice having you all.
I will see you again.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.